Good morning, church family. This is my third sermon, and every one of them, I get more nervous. This morning, we're getting ready to leave, and Janet yells out, "Hey, did you comb your hair?" I thought to myself, I'm nervous? My sermon today deals with power couples in the Bible and the lessons that we can learn from them. Before I start, though, I want you to know that whether you're a couple, whether you're a single person, or whether you're in a dating relationship, God has a plan and a purpose for you. No matter what type of earthly relationship you are in this morning, I hope it brings you comfort and peace to know that you are in a relationship with God. I hope as I talk about the 5 couples I have chosen, you can identify with them the lesson from each of them. When we hear the phrase power couples, we usually envision rich, famous people, actors, athletes, CEOs of big companies, business owners. Those who are not only successful in their own right, but also faithfully support one another's endeavors as well. They're the ultimate example of success and love. Many may not think that couples from the Bible would fit in this same category. Usually we think of couples who struggle more than succeed, such as Adam and Eve, Abraham and Sarah, Jacob and Rachel, and Leah. However, there are several couples whose testimonies emphasize the term power couple. But they don't get these titles because they're rich or they're famous. Well, 2 of them I'm going to talk about are kings. It is mainly from the biblical lessons they display through their relationship with one another, teaching all the true merits of Christianity and the couplehood we can all benefit from, whether you are single or you're married. These couples face their fair share of hardship as well as triumph. Yet, in the face of difficulty, the lesson they often offer to believers will come to light. My first power couple, Isaac and Rebekah. The importance of prayer as a couple. The story of Isaac and Rebekah is one that seems like it could have come from a romantic comedy. Rebekah and Isaac were brought together after Isaac's father, Abraham, wanted to find a wife for his son. Everything seemed to come together. The couple fell in love and took the steps to become husband and wife. However, though, the road to parenthood was a struggle for Isaac and Rebekah, as Rebekah struggled to become pregnant. But instead of blaming God or themselves for their struggle, they went to the Lord in prayer. And Isaac asked God to bless Rebekah with being able to conceive. Genesis 25:21 says, Isaac prayed to the Lord on behalf of his wife. Because she was barren, the Lord answered his prayer. And his wife, Rebekah, became pregnant. What lesson can we learn from this power couple? Their example of prayer shows believers that couples should always go to God in prayer for anything they're going through, good or bad, because coming together in prayer on the same manner is meaningful to God and strengthens the couple's faith. Our power couple number 2, and I've read this story a lot, Ruth and Boaz. Humility is more beautiful than power and riches. Many see Ruth and Boaz's story theme of handling grief and serving God as he brings blessings into your life. However, there is more to be learned from the biblical power couple. All of you know the story, the book about Ruth. Ruth was married to another man before meeting Boaz. But her husband sadly died along with her brother and father. This is found in Ruth 1:5. Ruth's mother-in-law, Naomi, decided to travel to her homeland to grieve. Ruth decided to follow and take care of her as she traveled back to her homeland, and for her to figure out what she wanted to do next. This beautiful passage in Ruth 1:16 gives us a picture of Ruth's heart. But Ruth replied, "Don't urge me to leave you or to turn back. Where you go, I will go. Where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord deal with me, be it ever so severely, if anything but death separates you and me." In taking care of Naomi, Ruth gleaned wheat from one of the fields owned by Boaz, who admired her character and his willingness and her willingness to do hard work and labor to support herself and her mother-in-law. She equally admired his character. Boaz honored the fact that other relatives had to consider her before marriage before he could. When the relative declined marriage to Ruth, Boaz asked for her hand in marriage. What can we learn from this power couple? Both demonstrated that humility is more important than power and riches. Humility is the value few have speak volume to whom you believe in and how you live your life. Ruth was humble enough to work hard and support her family, while Boaz was humble enough to possibly let someone else marry the woman that he loved, only because it was traditional and it was honorable. Power couple number 3. Hannah and Elkanah. Love and support overcomes tragedy. In 1 Samuel, we learned that Hannah had trouble conceiving a child, which was highlighted by the fact that Elkanah, other wife, was very fertile and made sure to let Hannah know this on a regular basis. Elkanah didn't understand why Hannah was so upset when she had the love of her husband. He did everything he could to show his support to her through care, food, attention. In 1 Samuel 1, 5-8, it says, "But to Hannah he gave double portions because he loved her, and the Lord closed her womb. And because the Lord had closed her womb, her rival kept provoking her in order to irritate her. This went on year after year. Whenever Hannah went up to the house of the Lord, her rival provoked her still. She wept and would not eat. Elkanah, her husband, said to her, Hannah, why are you weeping? Why are you downhearted? Don't I mean more to you than 10 sons? Even back then, men didn't understand. Finally, Hannah went to the temple and prayed to God to help her situation, even promising to commit her son back to him. This shows that Hannah knew that God was the only one who could heal the situation for her and Elkanah. We see that Elkanah supported Hannah in her decision to commit Samuel to the Lord. In 1 Samuel 1, 22 to 23, Hannah tells her husband, after the boy is weaned, I will take him and present him to the Lord, and he will live there. In verse 23, Elkanah tells her to do what she seems best for her. What lesson can we learn from this power couple? Having the complete love and support of a spouse or Christian brother or sister can often help us overcome personal tragedy. Elkanah supported Hannah in her quest to have a child, and then to commit that child to the Lord. A joy that changed Hannah's life. When we support one another that we love, it might not remove the tragedy, but it will make it easier to bear. My fourth power couple, I talked about first, 2 kings, King David and Abigail. 2 heads are better than 1. King David was a powerful man in his day, whom many admired. So how could his wife Abigail add to that? Impressive character he had. Even though she was his 3rd wife, she had a level head about herself that King David appreciated. When her husband at the time, Nabal, was willing to wage war against King David, Abigail intervened. With grief, with gifts, with gifts, and asked forgiveness for her foolish husband. Turn to 1 Samuel 25, 14 through 35. I'm not going to read this, but here is a summary of this passage. Nabal of Maon was a man of disgraceful character. He was a very rich man, had 3,000 sheep, had 1,000 goats. David's men protected Nabal's sheep and shepherds while they were in the wilderness. When David heard Nabal was going to Carmel to shear his sheep, David sent a messenger to ask if he would show his generosity, because it was a special feast day. Nabal responded by insulting David and refusing to help. David was so angry, he strapped on his sword, gathered 400 men to attack Nabal's house. Abigail, Nabal's wife, was nothing like her husband. She is described as a wise woman. When she heard about what her husband done, insulting David, she quickly gathered 200 loaves of bread, 2 skins of wine, 5 sheep, 5 seah of grain, 100 clusters of raisins, and 200 fig cakes, and loaded them on a donkey. She took the gifts and met David's army on the road. She bowed to David and apologized for her worthless husband. David accepted her apology, and David accepted her apology and her gift and blessed her. King David was so taken by Abigail's brave act that when Nabal died, he took her as his wife and a valuable resource to his kingdom. What lesson can we learn from this power couple? Abigail showed her wisdom in recognizing that reason could prevent a disaster, and that working together as a couple prevent a disaster. Lead and can lead to better results than being at odds with one another. That is still true today. It is why the quote, 2 heads are better than one. It still is a valid and timely reminder that working together can often produce more than working alone. My last power couple, 5, the final one, Xerxes and Esther. standing up for what is right. In the book of Esther, we learn that Esther is picked to be King Xerxes' new wife, even though she is of a different faith and the king doesn't know it. When Esther learned of a plot to kill the Jews in her kingdom, she took a brave step and addressed the king and invited him to dinner, where she exposed the culprits of the plot to kill the Jews. King Xerxes not only executed the culprits, but he praised Esther for her efforts that saved her people, the Jews. What lesson can we learn from this power couple? They showed us that when wrong is being done, and the right thing to do is stand up against it, God will prevail in your situation and your relationship. Their relationship grew stronger through their individual efforts to fight injustice, and then they went on to ensure that the Jewish people would continue to live both in our marriage relationship as well as our Christian relationship. We are to support each other. In standing up against sin and injustice. In Romans 8:31, it states, "If God is for us, who can be against us?" In summary, power couples are usually viewed by the world as having everything going for them, both professionally and personally. They are thought of as being wealthy, beautiful, and successful. However, in the Bible, these power couples showed us that riches and fame can't overpower the value of God. We can serve God best when we remember the following. It is important to pray to each other as a couple. Humility is more beautiful than power and riches. Love and support will overcome tragedy. Two heads are better than one. And always stand up for what is right.